Hey, how's it going, HS peeps? Welcome to another episode of the HSP Experience. It's like a week and a half. Finally was able to get out another episode. I was on vacation for a couple days. I went camping. It was pretty awesome. Got into nature. HSPs, we love nature. Typically, it was awesome. It was good to get away. Went kayaking, just your typical camping adventure. Took my daughter with me. We had a blast. It was super fun. And I was reading this book, and I'll get into it in a minute, called The Undervalued Self by Dr. Elaine Aron. It's actually one of her other HSP-related books that doesn't seem to get a lot of attention out there in the HSP sphere that I haven't seen anyway. So I'll get into that in a minute. But first, I want to cover the poll results that several of you have participated in. My Twitter poll that I put out there, the topic was, do you believe your high sensitivity has significantly contributed to your addictions? And the results kind of surprised me, actually. I thought that there would be a lot more yeses to drugs and alcohol. And it was only 15%. I mean, only 13 people voted, but this is not a scientific sampling. But it's interesting. Again, I thank you for everyone that participated. It was helpful to me because it kind of changed my perception of the HSP trait, actually, a lot. But yeah, 15% said yes to drugs or alcohol. 23% said yes to food. 23% said yes to something else, and 39% said no, not at all. So if we add up all the yeses to addictions, that's 61% believe high sensitivity has significantly contributed to their addictions. So yeah, I thought it was pretty interesting. I think my feeling about high sensitivity is kind of like if you don't know you have it or you don't know what it is, at least from my experience, it's easy to try to control it through, addictive behavior, drugs and alcohol, or food or whatever. I mean, I get the 61% seems pretty legit. And then I think a lot of people kind of figure out how to either stumble upon a solution accidentally, or they figure out they have HSP and they start to do better self-care. And so those are probably the other like 40, well, that'd be 40 something percent, there's definitely some well-adjusted HSPs, and there's a spectrum, right? Some of us are, well-adjusted, doing well, and others are, stuck in addiction, depression, anxiety, and don't know how to get out. So that's one of the reasons I started this channel and this podcast, is because I wanted to not only help myself, but help others as we journey through learning about this HSP thing, because it can be pretty confusing, and until you understand how to wield this awesome gift that we have, it can be almost too much to control and to figure out what we're dealing with. So anyway, that was the poll results. Thanks again, it really helped me out. Props to everyone. I got some cool feedback too. A few people told me they didn't even like to use drugs or alcohol because as HSPs, it just makes them feel just too terrible. When I totally get that. Like I mentioned in my previous podcast on addiction, I hate the hangovers. I think hangovers are extra tough for HSPs, but I think for me, what ends up happening is I just can't handle the anxiety anymore sometimes, and I just have to, drink. But actually, I've been doing really good in that area. Just going down this path of self-discovery, self-improvement, learning how I think, better self-care. I really haven't had any addictive behaviors in a few weeks, and I've even had a couple beers here and there, but it didn't go into full-blown drunken episode. It was just hanging out. It's cool. I'm really excited about this journey, and I hope others benefit from it in some way. So let me switch over to talk about this book I've been reading called The Undervalued Self. Like I said, it's another one by Elaine Aron. And she really gets into this concept around how a lot of highly sensitive people undervalue themselves. And I was like, attracted to the title just because that's me. I know instinctively that I have like this inner voice, this inner critic that I've always had. And I don't know where it came from. I mean, like when I was really little, like as far as I can remember, like early 4, 5, 6, I didn't really have it. But somewhere along the way, and that's my process of self-discovery that I'm on, is I picked up this inner critic that just tells me I'm not stupid. Actually, I don't really think I'm stupid, but things like, if I say something that I perceive as stupid, or that was a dumb thing to say, or you made a fool of yourself there, or it's very critical. It's like something I would never tell to like my kid. So anyway, this book's been helping me with that. So there's a quiz you can take, and it basically will help you determine how much you undervalue yourself. And I was going to go over my quiz. There's 22 questions, and you can put an S by each question or a T. An S is like a temporary state, something that you get into occasionally. A T is like a trait. It's more permanent. So in the interest of time, I'll just go over the T's, the traits. I thought it was pretty interesting, though. So here's one of my traits. When you're criticized, you hardly consider the source. Your day is ruined. And yeah, I definitely, that's a trait of mine. My whole day can be ruined by someone's offhanded remark, especially if it's critical. I'll dwell on that all day. And I know I'm doing it, but sometimes I'm just powerless to stop. I hate that. Another one, you fear speaking even when you know you have a good idea. That happens to me all the time, like in a group. I'm kind of waiting for my chance to jump in and share my idea, and either the topic will change or someone will share it, and I'll be so mad that I didn't share it. And yeah, so that's another trait that I have. Another one, your posture is head down, shoulders rounded. I definitely can get into that, especially walking around. I walk around a lot, like downtown where I work, and it seems like I'm kind of hunched over, just like my body language is like, don't notice me. Yeah, I'm aware of it too, but it's hard to change. Another one, in a restaurant, you have trouble complaining about something any reasonable person would not like. Yeah, I can do that. If like sometimes my food isn't just right, I'll just be like, it's not. I'm not gonna say anything. It's no big deal. Even though I like kind of should or I want to, it seems like too much effort or something. Another one, you feel like an imposter. I definitely have that trait. I'm really good at what I do. I'm a software developer, been doing it for 25 years, and I still feel like an imposter, and I'm like an expert in my field, right? But I still feel like someone they're gonna find out. I don't know what I'm doing. But every time I get reviews, and they always say I'm doing great. I don't know, but it's just this inner critic that just doesn't go away. Another one, when you are the appointed or natural leader, you expect to have trouble getting respect. Yeah, I have that too. Like, there's been times in my job I've been like a team lead, and I just assume automatically like, they're not going to give me respect because I'm ranking myself low, right? I have this inner critic. Another one, you cannot see how you could have stood up for yourself in a situation until later. So don't we do that, right? I mean, this is the one where I'll be blindsided by something that offends me or hurts me or I don't like, but I won't be able to really come up with a good comeback or a way I should have handled it till like, the next day. Not the next day, but hours later, typically, yeah. Another one, you expect to lose before you begin. That's another trait I have, especially when it comes to, oh gosh, so many things. So many things. It could be sports. It could be almost any kind of competition. Another one is you worry about losing your job when there is no objective reason for you to fear this. And that's true. Like, it kind of goes back to what I was saying a minute ago. I've always had this fear. Every time I get a good review, I'm always surprised. But I always get good reviews. So I don't know, it's ridiculous. So another one is you easily feel ashamed of what you just said, your appearance, your family or past, or who you date. Yeah, I've had all those. Shame is my constant companion. It's getting better. It's definitely gotten better, but yeah, that's definitely a trait that I've had. Another one is you expect people not to be interested in you when they meet you. Yeah, guilty of that one too. That's a trait. I don't know why. I think it's because it's happened to me. At least I perceive it's happened. I can almost tell when people lose interest, like in real time. It's so weird when it's happening too. You're like, oh, I'm losing them. Oh, I lost them. Oh, well, what are you going to do? The next one is when you want someone to stop doing something, you cannot bring it up with the person. Like, you want them to stop it, but like maybe, especially in a relationship, I've been in relationships where I just want my partner to stop doing some behavior, and it's so hard to bring it up. It's like, oh man, and I live with it for weeks. And then when I bring it up, it's awkward because it's been lasting for so long. I bring it up in a terrible way. And the last trait that I put is you hesitate to ask for what you need, and that's another one. Yeah, I'm just like, I'll just live with something I don't like rather than bring it up. Okay, so in that test, I had 13 T's, and it says that if you have 10 or more S's or 2 or more T's, it would indicate you have considerable undervaluing. So I have like next level undervaluing, which totally makes sense. I was actually happy when I took this test because to me, these are like epiphanies. These are like light bulbs coming on. It's like, oh, okay. I love this stuff because it helps explain you to yourself. So I wasn't mad or anything. I was like, all right, well, that explains it. So now that I shared my Undervalued Self quiz with you guys, I'll put a link to it in the description on the YouTube channel and wherever else I can put it on the website, but just look for it. Just look for Undervalued Self test, Dr. Elaine Aron, and you guys can take it too. It's pretty good. It's pretty enlightening. So let's get into the book a little bit. Dr. Aron talks about these two concepts in the Undervalued Self book. She calls them ranking and linking. And these are like kind of two primal concepts that we have as social animals, right? One is ranking, right? We all rank in ourselves compared to others. And, we don't like to admit we do it, but we do it. And other people rank us. And if you're a chronic undervalue type person, you're always ranking yourself less than other people, which is what I do, 100%. So the definition of ranking is comparing ourselves with others for respect, influence, and power. And then the other concept is linking. That's expressing affection, caring, and love, or to feel connected and secure. So basically, friendships or relationships, basically anytime you form a relationship with somebody, you're linking. It could be a boss, it could be someone that's just a friend, or all the way up to like a love interest, but we're linking. And our linking and ranking are tied together because if you rank yourself low, you're gonna link low, let's say. So when ranking is flawed, attempts to link with others will trigger the undervalued self. And I've seen this happen. I've done it myself, but I've actually seen like guys get shut down like in bars when they try to pick up on somebody that might be out of their league, let's say. Even though I don't believe in that necessarily, but they believe it. So they might shoot a little high. They're already feeling undervalued. They go for it. They get shot down, and they slink away like a dog with a tail between its legs, and it triggered their undervalued self. And I've done this before, but what I do as a true, uber undervalued self type person, I don't even try, right? And we'll get into that in a minute in some of the self-protection techniques that we use. I give people props for trying because I don't even compete sometimes. I'm just like, I'll sit it out. Okay, so people who undervalue themselves use 6 self-protections. And I use several of these. As I list these off, think about if you use these too. So number 1 is minimizing. That's making light of or denying your role in a negative situation, or making light of or denying what can be expected of you in a positive one. So signs of minimizing are things like, I wasn't really trying. I was too busy to give it my all. Announcing beforehand that you're not good at something. I've done this. I remember I was in a bar and this guy wanted to play pool. I'm like, oh, great. I instantly anxiety because I might, sometimes there's been times when I've like, shot the cue and I've like missed the ball. I just get embarrassed. But anyway, so I remember announcing beforehand, like, okay, if you want to play like crappy pool with me, let's do it. Like already diminishing and devaluing my pool skills. And it puts us in ranking mode. So you can know you're minimizing if you're doing those things. Number 2, blaming. So that's accusing others of being unfair in order to explain a failure, when in fact there is no unfairness. Now this is the type of blaming that really nobody did anything wrong, but we're like, oh, somebody bumped the table or whatever excuse we make up because and it's obvious when we're doing it. I mean, we've all seen people do it and you're like, yeah, nothing really was wrong, but they're undervaluing themselves. This is a big one for me. Number 3 is non-competing, denying any interest in or perhaps even awareness of ranking. I really never realized non-competing was an attempt to avoid ranking because I don't want to apparently when I lose at a competition, I immediately feel internally like a lower rank, and that feels terrible. Feelings like I'm worthless, so it's better not even to compete. I don't do the comparing stuff. These are things we say to each other. I don't mind not winning. I actually said that phrase, like, I don't care if I win. These are things that undervalued people tend to chronically do. Another one, I think we're on 4, is overachieving, which is, I don't really do this one. That's working endlessly to reach a high rank, yet never feeling good enough. Some signs of overachieving is a sense of being no good disappears with praise. So you get praise and you feel better. So, but we shouldn't be relying on external praise to feel good about ourselves, to feel better about ourselves. So even though it's actually not a good way to be. I shouldn't say it's not a good way to be. It's just, it's risky. It's unhealthy because those people can take away their praise and now we feel terrible again. So, and another sign of overachieving is pain of not being good enough is assuaged by overachievement. So yeah, I've never been an overachiever. You can just look at my grades. Yeah. Anyway, inflating is number 5, I believe. Yeah, number 5 is that's feeling you are the best or should be seen that way and doing almost anything to keep you in the spotlight. These are like exaggerations, feeling that you're more attractive, smarter, etc. than someone else, kind of narcissistic, sense of entitlement. And the last sign of protection for an undervalued type person, number 6, is projecting. That's denying our own flaws while seeing them in others when they are not there. So some signs of projecting can be you see unacceptable behaviors in others but can't see them in yourself. You can't bear feelings of shame and worthlessness. I definitely have that one. I hate that feeling of shame. I can feel it when it's coming on too. It's one of the most uncomfortable feelings. But I got a lot of that though from my childhood for sure, and then the religion I was in. It was like completely shame-based. So, these things mostly happen in our childhood. We're not born undervalued. We're born kind of neutral. We do have this amazing HSP trait, right? But we're just kind of like these fields of, the emptiness. And then, we're perceiving, we're acquiring experiences. We undervalue ourselves typically because we were traumatized in childhood. And it could have been a situation that we were in that was dysfunctional, abusive, or a person or people. And what ends up happening is this external trauma, could be, usually it's very negative, it could be critical. We internalize it and it becomes like an internal critic and an internal voice. And it becomes the undervaluing narrative and this internal dialogue that we kind of nurture into adulthood, and we don't even remember why it started. We can have traumatic experiences in our adulthood too. She talks about in the book to create this undervalued dynamic, but by far this happens when we're really little, when we don't even know what's happening. And like I know for me, I picked all this stuff up pretty much in my childhood. So. And now I'm trying to get it all straightened out. So one thing that I'm learning about this HSP trait is it's kind of neutral. It kind of can be like an advantage or a disadvantage depending on how we use it and how it's impacting and affecting our lives. And what I mean by that, I think when we're children and we have trauma, we get hurt so deep and we feel so much more than a non-HSP type people. And I use this analogy where it's like somebody throws like a shame bomb or a toxic, concept or a critical idea. They throw it into like our pristine HSP energy field. And then it just goes hits it, it goes in there, and it just sends these ripples out. And these ripples can extend up until the present time. It's like the HSP energy field is almost like it's like a very dynamic and reactive. It doesn't stop vibrating from the negative energy of decades ago. It's still there. Where other people, non-HSPs, they hear an offense or a criticism, they might get some ripples for a couple days. They forget about it. We're still like feeling the echoes of these traumas from when we were, kids. And I think that's where the HSP thing kind of might have a something to do with it. But what this poll has showed me, and what I'm learning with these books and in these and kind of this journey of discovering HSP and myself, is we really can't blame our problems on being an HSP, but it does heighten the feelings and some of the consequences, like the depression and the anxiety, and then especially if you've had trauma. If you had no trauma in your life, you're probably a super well-adjusted HSP. It's probably all advantage and no disadvantage for the most part. I don't know. But, if you came up with anything that was dysfunctional, anything that started that inner voice, that inner critic, I think as an HSP, it feels so bad to have that negative self-talk. That's where the dysfunctional behavior comes in. So I don't know. I'm learning like everybody else. I just wanted to put this out there. My intention is just to help people and learn. And like I said, thanks again for participating in the poll and subscribing and liking and commenting and tweeting me and all that stuff. Yeah, let me know what you guys think. Give me your input, your feedback. I'm not an expert. I'm just a person trying to figure this out like everybody else. But I think we can all help each other gather tools and tips to have a better life, a less anxious life, and to really exploit this cool HSP trait that we have, just to make the world better, right? Put more positive vibes in the world. And that's all I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to get better. So anyway, thanks again. Talk to y'all later. All right, peace.